Hey guys, welcome back to Tough Love with Dr. John O'Connor. Today's podcast is going to be about self-mastery. Today I want to take a deeper look on what I think is even more important than hitting your macros and training and making money. It's about how to manage situations and how you interact with others and how you react to situations that you come out and you feel like you're thriving in a positive and focused manner. You know, in recent months, I've changed the direction of my social media, and I'm working outside my comfort zone in that I'm working with multiple guests or co-hosts and having to be more personable on camera, which again, you see us up here on these podcasts. But again, it's me and my camera guy. So you could be super animated, super comfortable, super confident. But at the end of the day, when you're with other people, you know, you think you see the gram version of the person. For me, that makes me uncomfortable. And part of self-mastery in this realm is if I want to dominate this sector, or, you know, this phase of my life, I have to really conquer this. And so I've been excited to be moving forward and doing these kind of things. And one of the things for me has been organizing my thoughts. And what I mean by that is, when I get in situations where, you know, somebody's asking me a question that I don't feel I have a good answer for, or I don't like the question, I think in years past, I would come off very aggressive or very abrupt and just end the conversation. But what I realized, those are great opportunities to shine and to show people a different version of you or the you once were. Recently, why I'm making such a big deal about self-mastery for me is recently, the turn of events with all the changes that have been going on in my life, it's how I react in situations and how I want to come across and portray the best version of myself. And I think if I can do this with consistent, measurable goals and kind of check in every day with myself, I think I can do a better job at it. I think we all can. There was a book that I was reading recently. It was Eckhart Tolle. It was, just about, kind of unlocking your mind to the potential of just being more insightful and healing and all these different kinds of like your self-exploration, if you will. And I have to tell you, being in healthcare, I found myself using it with my patients, and it was quite a breakthrough on being able to communicate and open layers to them that I think that I was missing for a good amount of years. And so I'm thankful that I was exposed to this by other podcasters that are remarkably successful in what they do in their own verticals of business. And I said, you know what, if these guys have spent, thousands upon thousands, even millions of dollars being around circles of people and understanding how to not just compete in life, but win at life in all aspects. And they have shit like we all do, right? I mean, I think Bedros, if I pronounce his name correctly, he talks about his childhood, and he had a rough childhood that he had to get past. And he came here from another country and remarkably successful in all these pitfalls. And now, living his best life. And again, it was earned. And having a purpose-driven life and understanding the importance of self-mastery was probably one of the most, key components that got him there. But, this podcast today is about me and that journey and how I would recommend to each and all of you to want to do better in this topic for yourself. I think so many times we have so many pleaser personalities out there that we don't take a deep enough look of what makes us happy, us as the individual. And I think you could go through life and wake up one day and realize, hey, I'm just not happy. And how do you find that happy? What is that? Is it your situation? Is it your finances? Is it, is it your spouse or your person you're dating? But it requires a deep look, because I do think we get so busy in life that sometimes we forget, as they say, it's a little cliche to stop and smell the roses. But I think the one thing that I would recommend, for all of us is to really, all these books that I've been reading and podcasts I'm listening to about self-mastery, it's taking a second to appreciate what you're feeling and what it's doing for you. I read a great quote about money is not the goal. The goal is freedom. And you could earn all the money in the world and be the richest person. And God knows I've run into some of the wealthiest people, had the pleasure of treating them. And honestly, it's like bad luck follows these people, and they have more money than they could ever spend. And so, if you don't have freedom of stress, of daily minutia and the bullshit that keeps you away from relaxing, enjoying your life, then the money serves no purpose. So, my good friend and podcast co-host on many of my podcasts, James Avery, he's a very insightful chef and quite a paradigm shift from most chefs in that he's super fit. He's he's a remarkable individual, and he's deep. He shares so many insights, and we're working out. It feels like we're in a philosophy meeting most times, because I think when you're transitioning, in life, from business, relationships, even age, going from 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, self-mastery is a huge part of that. How we age, how our mind evolves, what we become, what we do to be the best version of ourselves every step of the way, I think is a key part. So, again, taking a look at, a closer look at myself, what I realized was, what does self-mastery mean for myself? Well, one thing is I speed up a lot of things and miss the enjoyment to a lot of situations because I'm just beyond rushing. And in that moment, I'm not doing anything to help myself. I'm just getting through the moment. I'm rushing, just in my head conquering the task at hand. But when I look back at it, a lot of times I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. And I think that, that's probably one of the biggest things for me that I'm like, what, I got to do a better job of that. I have to plan for an event. I have to get there, enjoy it, take a moment to kind of really take it in and not just go in and attack it when it's done, have no memories, because it was literally like I drank, 3 16 or 18 ounce Red Bulls and, just went complete mind blank and just got it done. And inside joke there on the Red Bull, but we'll get a chuckle about that later. But, like I said, for me, I think this year is, probably going to be one of my best years yet. I have another new company opening, relationships that, I'm coming into, relationships that I'm working on, and it's so important to understand what the goal is, what's the mission, what's the purpose, and what's end game. I think, it brings me back to a pretty, deep part of my life when I was sitting fireside during COVID with a very good friend and analyst that is, very deep, very smart guy. And probably spent a half hour breaking me down what my 5-year, 10-year plan was beyond Doc, this basketball person and whatnot. And I had no answers. And now when I look at it, and I was having a conversation with a patient today, actually a pro soccer player, young kid, and he said, what did you do? What did you think you were going to do beyond sports? And I thought it was a great question, because first off, I was honored that at 50, he still saw me as an athlete. And I said, I gave up being an on-court basketball trainer 5 years ago due to injury, due to some, I was definitely dealing with some depression and, changing. And why we talk about self-mastery, because I didn't have any control of those situations. When people were asking me or my body was changing and injuries were happening, I was just unraveling at my core and, quite frankly, falling apart. And when, COVID happened, for me, it was actually probably a blessing in disguise, because it gave me an out. And now looking back at it, I said to myself, it's like, you know better, because at 40, you said, if you can't be Doc or you can't be John O'Connor, this guy that's out there just running the show, that you'd step away and that you would have said, you had a great time and, you hang your sneakers up and you move into that next phase. Well, 4 years and a bunch of, book-worthy chapters later, I got to that point, but it was definitely a, being lost in the dark on a goose hunt kind of thing. It wasn't straight, from point A to point B. I think when I look back to look forward, I'm like, self-mastery would have said, my version of myself now would have said, hey, listen, it's time. You had a great run. You helped so many people, and you helped yourself. There was the therapy that I gained from working with those amazing young kids and the athletes and watching them have, these amazing, magnificent careers, I think was something that I'll forever cherish. And, I didn't have that language or mindset in me at that point. Now I look at it as I'm pursuing, being a physique competitor and working on my body. That's my new basketball court. That's my new hardwood. That's my new pair of Jordans, if you will. And I love it. It gives me a reason to stay healthy. It gives me a reason to compete at something that is not really, muscles don't know age. And, so I can work them and, and the one amazing thing and what, I'm blessed to say I do every day is I work with amazing science and technology that is like my fountain of youth. It's my own secret sauce of, getting rid of these aches and pains and being on devices like, the MedRay Class 4 laser and PEMF and cryotherapy and all these different shockwave devices or these radio pulse waves to just get myself feeling great. And again, it brings me back to what? The mastering what makes me the best version of myself. And that's to serve others, to serve myself, to grow, to flourish, and be the best version. So today's podcast was about being, short, sweet, and to the point is know what you want. Create a clear and deliberate plan. Every day, consistency. If you follow me on my podcast and my stories, you see that I'm consistently posting, being on PEMF or being on any of my devices. And shout out to Chef James, because one thing that I'm definitely going to be sharing more of is being proud of what I do in the clinic, being proud of, using, the technology that I use on people on a daily basis and having these breakthrough results and outcomes, because I saw what it did for me. And anybody that saw how hurt I was 4 or 5 years ago, that was one road that I wouldn't wish for many people to travel. And a lot of the reason and success I had is the science that I sit and use on a daily basis on my patients. So again, guys, self-mastery, before you can have success in business and, home and your finances and all that kind of stuff, I really think you need to kind of take a long, deep look and think about what I'm saying today. And there are so many books out there about this. I think it's a game changer if you're looking to, grow your relationships or you're in a transition period in a career. I think it's something that will help you evolve in a manner that's, game changing and life changing. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the message. We'll see you again soon. Check me out on my platforms. Follow us, like this, share it. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.